This episode, Cause and Effect, Looking Deeper. In this episode, the Handyman Pros have a discussion about cause and effect. Folks, your decisions matter. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Cause and Effect, Looking Deeper. To help me explain, I'm here with my ever-cheerful co-host, nobody John. Johnny?
Yes, sir. I'm here,
What's
man.
What's happening this week?
What is happening this week? Well, let's see. What is going on this week? Well, we just got back from Florida, so we're going to be talking about that in just a bit. And I like the cup. Cup right there.
Oh, the cup. I forgot, folks.
Yeah.
Handyman Pros Radio Show. This is a 15.5-ounce cup, not that little 12-ounce cup that you're used to. On the website at handymanprosradioshow.com, we're doing gross.
And that's the benefit. You don't have to keep getting up all the time to get more coffee.
That's right. Print it on
One
both
time,
sides.
sit down, get your job done. There you go.
That's right. It's exactly right. Yeah, I didn't even
buy
do
it
that on
today,
purpose.
buy
Actually,
it now.
I did. I was just actually having some coffee, John. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. So anyways, so on to fixing a gate in a little fence, probably tomorrow. And, other than that, just getting back, and we're going to discuss that trip.
Yeah.
So, I know that we wanted to talk about a couple of things. We were talking the other day about, decisions have consequences. And,
we have this conversation.
yeah,
a lot,
we have,
but anyway.
we do. So, Larry, I'll let you start in.
Well, so we've been asked by a whole series between our customers and other handymen. We've just been asked a whole lot of questions about various aspects of home improvement and things like that. And kind of what we've come to the decision of, or what we've realized, is that people don't effectively think deep enough on some of these items. We use like in the homeowner example, John and I both have had experience with this. Like, you want to put your dishwasher there, but you won't be able to open your refrigerator if the dishwasher's open. Things like that. It kind of a little bit deeper, where you need to think a little bit deeper, in a deeper fashion, as it were. And what are some of the unintended consequences? So, John, what is your take of what this conversation is going to be about?
Well, it is just that. I think that there is. I think when you look at a decision that's going to affect you, whether it's at your business level or as you're a homeowner, you go maybe one or two levels deep. I want to do that because I'm going to make X amount of dollars, let's say.
Right.
But it never, we get asked a lot, and that's why it came up again, is that there are some things of why we talk about, some things are good decisions, that jobs to take, and some things are not. There's good decisions on kitchen layouts, and then there's not.
There's not. Yeah.
And it goes a little bit beyond, hey, I'm going to do X, and then I'm going to, reap the benefit. But what really does come along after that?
Right.
So that, it took me a while in business as people walk me through a process of, be careful what you do, and think that, and visualize that pathway out.
There's this guy I know, and he told me a long time ago, he said, be careful what you wish for, because it might actually come true. That was you,
You're right.
By the way. Right. And we say
and now
that
you're a millionaire.
It had nothing to do with that. If I remember right, that was about running an airplane event. Anyway, it was,
which will be, we'll discuss that at some length at some point.
Yeah, we're gonna have some, we are gonna take a little bit of a departure on some of our shows and talk about some of our fun activities that we do outside of just being a handyman and doing other stuff. So we thought we might delve into that, folks. If you don't want to hear that, send us an email. But tough, you're gonna get it anyway. but be that as it may, we came up on this thought of that there's basically levels, right? And more or less there's levels. So you go to make a decision and there's that first level, right? And you can do this is just a process that goes, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. I mean, it can be everything from doing a project at your house or making a decision in your business or anything really. Are you overeating? Well, I mean, just all of this process goes. There's the first level, which basically is what's the initial reason? What problem are you solving or what are you trying to solve? That's level one, right? You have to go through that and you think about that and you go, wow, if I do this, I'll get that, right? And that's true. I mean, in most cases, that's easy, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we've sort of discussed, John and I discuss this stuff all the time. That's really easy. But what's the next level? So what happens after that? And then what happens after that? And then what happens after that? And then you get really down in the weeds, and all of a sudden this thing is spiraled out of control, and you're kind of like, why did that happen? Why couldn't I have seen this in the first place? So we thought about that, right? You and I did, and we were talking about this when we were setting the show up because we want to be entertaining, John and
Yeah,
John,
it. Well, I think it boils down to there's some easy decisions to make. Okay, but then there's some other ones that need to be you need to take them seriously because of the consequences. So you got to
right?
play long ball with them.
Yeah, yep,
And it's anything. And we talked about project management. Whether it's building an addition on your house, whether it's doing modifications inside your the bathroom, whatever it might be. But those you really have to play some long ball on that kind of thing. And
yeah.
once again, it's nothing that the audience doesn't know internally anyways. But we get asked a lot about things that are just to this point. In terms of let's say pricing.
Yeah, for our handyman listeners out there. So pricing. So what are the effects of your pricing? And the immediate effect is you get the job, right? Or you don't get the job, one or the other. But you have to be really have to look much deeper into that. We got asked the other day, I basically, I mean, I got asked a question by a fellow handyman. He basically was asking me, how do I get myself out of this bad situation I'm in with a customer? And I was like, I gave him some advice on how to get out of the initial problem. I said, but I want to, take a step back and talk about how you got into that situation first. And it's the same in almost all things. And basically, he was trying to do a favor for somebody. And I'm always be careful when you're trying to do a favor for somebody because lots of times it doesn't work out well. But we'll get into some of those things. But John, where does this experience come from for you? Why did we decide to do this topic?
Well, one of the things that happened to me was, it was basically customer related.
Yep.
And I came to the conclusion that I had to make a decision. That what I felt like at a point in this relationship, that you become taken advantage of at times.
Yes.
And
It can happen. It can
happen.
Yeah.
And as professionals, I want to be and present, my pricing and my time and everything else. People still get very casual with that because the handyman, as we've talked about before, is the first go-to for any issues that happen with your house. Okay, so
At least we hope so.
You can become almost too emotionally close to some of these things, and it goes on both sides, and then it becomes maybe I'm kind of taken advantage of from that perspective of doing work. And then I said, to myself that, I gotta fire this customer, and because it wasn't fair to, it wasn't fair to me, and it wasn't fair to them, because I would never be the same. I mean, you learn this in business, right? If somebody says, "Hey, man, I'm gonna quit or else," Well, at that point, you're never the same employee.
Right.
Let's face it.
Yep.
So you know where the guy or gal's coming from.
Right.
And that's kind of what that was my first knee jerk. I'm never going to be the same guy. I was just real with it. And they'll never be the same customer. So I decided to part ways.
Right.
But I had to think that through, right? Because now the consequence is I just lost, a good customer that I did a lot of work for. But on the other side of it is, I'm confident enough and do my stuff, that I can backfill that. That wasn't going to be the issue. But I had to think about that.
Yeah, there's a process there, right?
Exactly.
It's a process.
Exactly. Before I said, "Hey, I'm out of here," I had to think through what I'm about to do, and then take it down a couple of steps. Can I backfill it? Can I afford to do this? Can I, it was easy work, it was good work, and so on and so forth. But if you want to make a Ben Franklin chart out of it, the pluses and minuses,
Right.
the minuses overpowered the pluses, and I said, I'm gonna go now. What in at the end of the day, I'm a lot happier about it.
But your customer is not, probably.
Well, it is. Well, it is what it is, and I think it goes back to how you treat people all the way around, and you always, even when you work for, a neighbor or a friend, and you want to do, we talked about doing some of these, favors. Always be the professional.
Right.
You should be treated that way, and you should be compensated that way. If it's a true favor, then understand that is a true favor for a person. But if that's a mix of your customer and a favor, I think that's kind of a dangerous, but not dangerous, but it's a bad place to be
It can be.
in your professional relationship. Okay.
Right.
There's little things that you do for people on the side, as you're walking out the door, you're tightening this or you're doing that, okay, I would consider, hey, that's a favor, and I'm out the door, and hey, thank you very much. That's a value add. I'm not talking about a value add. I'm talking about, an actual type of, a real favor. And I don't do.
I do. So I just want to add in one thing. So I will do favors for people, but I really expect no compensation at all, because I've just found for me that works better. If I'm gonna, like, for example, my mother and father-in-laws, I built the suite for them in the bathroom. I did not. That was at no charge.
That's different.
For familial reasons, but it was at no charge. And because if you try to cross those lines, it gets muddy. Really
that's a good.
muddy.
No, that's a good point. And but that's a different thing. That's a family type of thing, and them
Understood.
very well, and that whole bit. I'm talking about your customer base already, and that's when I don't do things that way. I go out above and beyond for them, but I expect to be compensated,
Right.
and I think that's only fair, right? I think that's where my thought process came in. The other this has been a long time now, but the other day when we were talking about this, and then the questions that we were getting from other handymen, and then also there's also the same thing with the homeowners.
Yes.
Going through their decision process. So you have to look through all that and make say, hey, what's the pluses and minuses for each step? It's like playing chess. You're looking, the 3 or 4, moves on down the board.
Down the board. Yeah. Yep.
You're looking at that way. And I think for the bigger decisions that you need to be doing that. So I think, once again, to carry this out from the handyman side of things, I've also, had to stop and think about when people have asked me to do certain jobs, and it might have taken me out of my my geographic circle
or geographic,
and say, do yeah, that's a big job, a bigger job, I can make a lot of money, but is it really worth it? Or, is it better that I pay more attention to the 3 or 4 that are right here, and I have 3 or 4 new customers versus that one big one? that I might only work for one time, but it's a repeat business with these 3 and 4,
Right.
which benefits me, benefits them because I'm right down the street. And it just, you can just follow that logic path down, down a couple of steps and say, yeah, well, that's a better deal for the business, for my pocket, for them as the customer, so on and so forth. Anyways, I'm talking
Yeah,
too
but
long.
kind of part of the bottom line is we're talking about being intentional, and this doesn't matter whether you're a homeowner or not, and if you're a homeowner or a business person, or really in almost all your decisions, I call it deep thinking. We sit down and we work on I don't want to say we visualize it, but I'm very visual. So for me, in my head, I actually can create the picture in my head of where this could go. And
Mm-hmm.
I've done many times, I've made bad decisions based on some of these not visualizations, but when I've not gone deep enough. And I can tell you, in certain things I've made some bad decisions where I haven't gone deep enough, and there were unintended consequences that occurred, and it ended up me taking a lot of time and things I was pretty vested in, that I'm thinking of one particular thing in general, which was a volunteer activity that I did. And I got to just where John was saying, I got to where I felt abused, and I went to pull myself away, and they just basically shut the program down. And I was like, wow, this is not what I was expecting. And anyway, long story short, you really have to think it through. So you have to go deep. You have to understand, if you do, if then what, right? So if I do this, then what's going to happen? And then what happens again? And then what happens again after that happens? And then what happens after that? And it doesn't become too difficult to figure out in the bigger things. When you really sit down, you stop, right? Just don't act on emotion. If I eat the candy bar today, am I, where's that lead? If you do that every day, where does that lead you long term? And I used to work in the vending business, so I was good at that.
Yeah. I will tell you that, we learned, we're both Larry and I were both on the board of directors at the model airplane thing. And, it's you learn a lot from doing that. And just what you're saying, you go through some very benevolent activities with all the best intentions. And you have to think, a lot of things come and bite you in the butt. And after that, you really do start to think things through.
Yeah, by
one
default.
step after one step after another. So
I am not doing that again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think it goes for the, anything else in terms of, homeowners, right? And it goes to, some very generalized things as budgets and time frames and all the other things that we've talked about that we try to impress upon people. If you're going to do remodeling, your budget, your time, your disruption, the aggravation, all those things. You can go back and listen to that.
Right. Don't assume it's an investment is another thing. Don't think that because you do this, it's going to increase the value of your home. It might not. It might actually work exactly the opposite way. So
absolutely
different considerations.
Absolutely. So you need to really, think those things through. So good plug there, Larry, like that.
But one thing I'm thinking that you don't have to think through is we're very proud of our mug. Actually, Johnny, we like our mugs. I'm telling you that 15-ounce cup coffee. My biggest thing now is like, does it get cold? But actually, it doesn't, which is beautiful. It's just right. It's just right. Anyway. All right, John. What else we got? Anything?
No. That's it.
John. The other day.
Yes.
I hadn't prepared anything for this, Johnny. Nothing. Like, this is an if then what. So if the spaceship lands in your yard, as it does so often, I'm starting to wonder why. Anyway, if the spaceship lands in your yard, then what are you going to do?
I got to noodle that one out.
I don't think so, baby. You're going to take that thing apart. That's the end of it. That's the way it works.
Roll out the Craftsman toolbox, baby.
All right, folks, if you enjoy this insanity that we do, please share the links to these shows. We're both on YouTube and on the podcast. So if you really enjoy this stuff, please send it off to your friends. We would really appreciate it. Again, if you want to get a hold of us, you can go to our website. That's handymanprosradioshow.com. You can send us an email from that website. You can contact us. We also are on Facebook at Handyman Pros. We do that a lot. And with that, we will see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.